Okay, aloha mai kako. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's begin with some breathing to kind of center and ground ourselves for today's session. Let's hanu mai. Hanu aku. Hanu mai. Hanu aku. Hanu mai. Hanu aku. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ona mea huna loea. Ona mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ona mea huna noea, ona mele. E o mai, e o mai, e o mai e. O mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ona mea huna noea, ona mele. E o mai, e o mai, e o mai, yeah. Oi. Okay, aloha mai kako, mahalo nui to everyone for joining us here today. Today is the 5th session in our ʻImi Keola Mau a Mau series in honor of Recovery and Healing Month throughout September. My name is Lkauahikaua, and I am a population health specialist with Papo Lalokahi, focusing on addictions, behavioral mental health, and social justice. And before we go ahead and get started with today's session, we just have a few housekeeping notes. Today's session will be recorded. Please note as well that we are using the Zoom webinar feature, so this does limit your ability to turn on your camera or unmute, but if you need to be unmuted to ask a question, we are able to do that. Please feel free to post any questions that you might have into the Q&A panel, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen throughout the presentation. We'll leave some time to answer those questions and to talk story toward the end of today's session. Please feel free to also utilize the chat, which will be monitored throughout our time today. This training has been approved by the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division for CSAC, CCS, CPS, CCJP, CSAPA, and Social Worker Continuing Education credit hours. So following the webinar, you'll be asked to complete an evaluation. If you could please take a moment to complete that, it really does help us to improve and expand our programming opportunities. And then for those who wish to claim our continuing education credit hours, the evaluation will also connect you to the attendance verification form. And then upon completion of that form, you'll receive an email certifying your attendance and credit hours. And that will serve as your credit letter for licensure. The link will also be sent to you in a follow-up email via Zoom. So this series is co-sponsored by Papaola Lokahi and the Hawaii State Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division. Mahalo again to everyone for joining us on this journey. So the goal of this overall series has really been to improve our pilina, right? Our connections across Hawaii. It's really our hope that through education and outreach, we can embark on a new way to strengthen these pilina, creating an upena, right? A net of connected services throughout Hawaii in service to our lahui. So mahalo nui for joining us on the journey as we revisit this rich lineage of puna wisdom in the field, as we set our intention and learn new skills for our continued work, and as we continue to uplift the work being done by these incredible organizations providing culturally grounded approaches in the field of addictions. And today it's my honor to introduce today's speaker, Auntie Lahela Kruse, who is a social worker at CSAC. Auntie Lahela, a Native Hawaiian social worker and CSAC at Bay Clinic on Hawaii Island. She works with the mental health population with a close attention to substance use using traditional healing methods of Ho'oku kahepa for the individual. She's also a Haku Ho oponopono. So I'd like to turn it over to Auntie Lahela this time.
Aloha. Okay, is my buttons on?
Yes, you're unmuted.
I'm muted. Okay, aloha mai kako. What a white in the back. Anyway, where do I begin? So, can I get the first slide up?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, before I get started, I want to give much aloha, love, and mahalo to my kumu, to kupuna, as well as all my ancestors behind me as well. To Auntie Ulu, she has been my inspiration. I am so honored to be able to come out and teach on all her teachings that she has shared with me. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to share this. But there's this important quote that I wanna, she would call me like the kind. It was almost 11 at night. She called my phone and she said, hello, Lahela. Write this down, write this down. And she said to me, in spite of our losses, we are a group of people who our values mean something to others. And I thought, wow, that's deep. Okay. And I thought about it and I said, okay. And it really started to help me look at what my function is, yeah, and my purpose. And I thought, okay, I really just want to mahalo her for that and give thanks to her. And I know she stayed with me at all times. And I just want to make sure I acknowledge her and give her mahalo. Also, I had noticed that Auntie Lynette, if you're in the room, I want to give Auntie Lynette a big shout out and mahalo. I have unikied with Auntie Lynette in Ho'oponopono. Actually, under Auntie Ulu's teachings, Auntie Ulu had sent me to Auntie Lynette. She actually had told me, Lahela, you need to go here. And she pointed the picture and it was Auntie Lynette. And she said, you go. And so I have had the privilege of being trained with Auntie Lynette. And for that, I mahalo her plenty. So Auntie Lynette, I give you a big shout out. If you're in the room, big hugs and mahalo to you as well. Okay, thank you, you guys. Anyways, next slide. I want to just get right into it. Oh, okay. Title of my presentation is Ka wehena o ke au. It is the opening of the light. And as I go through my presentation, you're going to see more why this name fits my presentation. Next slide. And by the way, that's east end of Hawaii Island. That picture right there. Thanks to, I want to give a shout out to, I have Kama in the room. Kama Hui Laulani, and also Brian is in the room. They are my kako'o, and I want a big mahalo to Kama for putting the PowerPoint together. She did a great job, and I mahalo you for that. And so the two of them are in the room with me. Also mahalo to Papa Ololokahi and Lily Noi for the great work she's doing to bring light and attention to those in recovery from substance use. Okay, moving on. Okay, in my registration, I had asked the question, what is your perception of culture or cultural? And after we had sat and looked over all of your responses, maybe one word that I can use to sum up all of your responses is the word lifestyle. Yeah. And what I mean by that is it has to do with Ike. Some of you responded with knowledge, Ike, arts. So when I looked at all of it, and from a cultural lens, one word to describe it would be lifestyle. And with that being said, okay, because you have like, if you hear people talk about, oh, Hawaiian culture, or Filipino culture, Portuguese culture. In a nutshell, most of their responses is just about a lifestyle, how we do certain things with a group of people. But in this presentation, I want to take a look at the substance user. So the person that uses drugs or alcohol, that's a culture in itself. That's a lifestyle. And so when you look at it from a cultural lens, that's a person living in that type of lifestyle, right? Their value is the substance. Mapopo, right? Their value is the substance, but they have a value. Those that are using drugs, they have a value. And another value of theirs is money, right? They need that, and they need the substance, most of all the substance. So the thing about it is we're looking at another set of, a group of people with a lifestyle. But within that lifestyle, the substance user, they have skills, okay? So it's about when we start to, big word in all of Auntie Ulu's teachings is the word makavalu. And Lilinoy can help out with the Hawaiian words anyway. Makavalu is 8 eyes. So we're looking at it from different lens, yeah? So talking about the substance user, when they come to us, right? Because I've been in the field pretty long, working in this field, they come with a set of skills, right? I mean, they just don't stop at a treatment center and go, okay, I think I'll get in treatment today. Most of them are mandated. You do have a few of them that come self-refer. But the thing about them coming to us for help is they are also coming with a set of skills that they already have. It's just that they lost their way for a bit or they're disconnected, right? And so when you view that with that lens and you see them that a person that is disconnected, okay, the next slide will really help out what I mean by disconnected. But it's really important to see them as also a person. They're part of the lohui. They are, right? It's just that their value in the meantime is drugs. That's what they value, is the substance, right? But there's still someone that is seeking help. And that's what our job is to be able to help them find their way back, right? That's the main thing, is that we're going to help them find their way back. Okay, I'll tell with that one. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Lily Noy. So Makavalu also has to do with elevate and expand. Okay, so this slide right here. Okay, this was coined by Auntie Ulu, right about in 2000, the year 2000. On the left, my left-hand corner on the bottom, it says PUG 2000. The PUG is Pearl Ulunui Okamamalu Garment. She is Auntie Edith Kanakaole's daughter. She's number 2 in their line, the second daughter. But that's how she wanted me make them on this. This is a Western framework, but that's how she wanted me to write it out, was pug. So that's why I get that pug in the corner 2000. That's Auntie Ulu. Again, Pearl Ulunui Okamamalu Garment. Now this right here on the screen is called the natural order of balance. And this was coined so that when we would go to places to present, we would bring the outdoors in. Everything within this that you see on the screen is very godlike. Okay, this is a Hawaiian worldview or a Hawaiian concept, and everything within it suggests that all beings, including humans, plants, animals, minerals, or elemental objects, and forces are in mutual and dependent relationship with each other. They all work well together, basically. And it specifically reflects the way we are a part of a larger cosmos with responsibilities, rights, and expectations. And most of all, this right here, especially giving mahalo to level 1 and 2, respect, it requires respect, harmony, and love to sustain, grow, and heal. So let me break it down. In level 1, we call those the source, right? Kalani, that's everything above. So everything above us is kalani. And then you have ke akua, or better yet, na akua. We also have kini akua. And I believe Lily is going to give you guys translation in the box. And then you have your alma kua and your kupuna, right? So those you really can see, but you can see them. Those are all in level 1. And then you also have your mahina, la, ua, makani, opua, hoku, ekili, and wila. All in level 1. That's everything above us. Okay, in level 2, we have our ocean, which is moana, your land. Ulu, la'au, which is your forest. Holo, holona, and meakanu, your plants. Okay, level 1 and level 2 work really well together. Everything within that is, there's a reciprocity in it. Level 1 and 2. And a lot of times you gotta ask yourself this question. You can put them in the chat box. Does level, okay, so level 2 is your land and ocean, right? No, let me throw in level 3. Level 3 is your humans, right? Naka naka. Does level 1 need level 3? Remember, this is a framework right here to help you work with self and others. So the question would be, and you can pop it in the chat box, does level 1 need level 3? Okay, now ask yourself, does level 2 need level 3? Can you see it? Okay, let me help you out. I see a few of you had said yes. So again, question is, does level 2 need level 3? Oh, I see plenty yes, no. Oh, interesting. Lots of yes. Oh, my homana. Okay, I see them. Okay, let me help you with, let's makavalu this. Level 1 and 2, right? Remember I told you those two, there's that reciprocity when it's within it. So level 3, here's what happens. So basically level 3, right, is because level 1 and 2 work really well together. What happens is level 3 is really part of the chaos, and I'll tell you why. Level 2, if never have the humans, right? Let's say never have humans. Everything in level 2 survive. Mapopo, everything in level 2 going to survive. Because get level 1. What happens is in this right here, this framework, until we step back and look at our chaos within this natural order of balance, we're not going to do nothing to make pono. Humans, yeah. Mapopo, right? If we don't start to see our chaos, right? We're not going to do nothing to make pono with level 1 and 2. Example, maybe this is something that you can do on your own to take this to a whole nother level when using the natural order of balance. Okay, for example, those in the field, and we work with other haumana clients, patients, right? So in order, automatically those that come to us, we know they're struggling with some type of substance use or alcoholism. So we can see the chaos already. Our job is to help them reconnect to the root. That's the same like when we working with them. So let me try to give you another example. A lot of times we work with them in therapy or individual counseling to try to get to the root of their, in my objective, the hala, right? The hala you're looking for, or that thing that prevents them from being reconnecting, yeah, with society, all that kind of stuff. But what happens is when working with the homeowner and using this right here, this concept, I can help them reconnect using their history. Now, what's really important about this, and I'm going to talk about this in the Housekeeping when I get to that slide, is that because over time they're lost. And in this layout here, homana or patients or clients, they go in and out of this. Meaning they go in and out, meaning sometimes they're totally present, and then sometimes they're back out right off and running. So the idea here is to help this homana reconnect to the core value, which is right here, the NOB. This is our core value for the Hawaiian culture, right? Is all of this within the natural order of balance. So helping the homana to understand what did they grow up with. Okay, so if you have people that grew up with their family, their grandma, grandpas were gardener, were farmers, they worked a lo'i patch, they're very level 1, right? If you have family members that were electricians, that's level, no, your farmers is level 2, your electricians is level 1, your teachers are level 1. So can anybody see why I'm saying that teachers belong in level 1? Anybody throw that out there? Let me see what you come up with. This is how I'm going to help you to use the NOB. Oh yeah, short for natural order of balance. Can anybody see where teachers would be in level 1? Source, nice. Too much. Okay, maybe here, let me throw this out. Level 1, for those who are teachers in here, in the room, and that's a lot of us who work in the field. Hoku. Hoku, what Hoku does, which is your stars, they guide us. Oh, very nice. Stars, yes. Because when you look, the Hokulea, when it sailed around the world, it was dependent on the stars. And so your teachers, when you're helping haumana or clients or patients to work with them, it's about helping them to reconnect to these core values. Okay, for those who grew up where your family were builders or construction workers or carpenters, right? They are level 2, the forest. And the thing about your carpenters, without the forest, you no more on hale, right? You know more. And because what happens is, a lot of times when you look at homana struggling, remember now, their value is substance. That's a lifestyle they live in. You're trying to help them, whatever type of you're using in therapy, cognitive behavior, dialectical behavior therapy. What you're really trying to do is help them change the way they think, right? That's what we're trying to do in therapy, right? But in this case, we take haumana and we actually help them to interact with the elements outdoors. Mapopo? Oh yeah, I'm kind of reading this, kind of interesting. Okay, I think we're good with that one. I may want to come back to it again, Lilinoy, but then we can move on. I want to get into the ASAP. Yeah, something right there. Okay, so I know a lot of you in my questionnaire or in my objective, I talked about how you use the ASAM with a cultural lens, yeah. And because the ASAM, which is your American Society of Addiction Medicine, this is a form, a screen, a tool to use for people in the field, your professionals. They use this tool as a guide to help work with the haumana or the individual that's struggling with substance use. Well, when you look at the dimensions, if you're familiar with this and you work in substance abuse, you should know this tool because this is the most widely used tool from the federal level down and the state. If you're getting state monies or contracts, most times in the contract, it's going to tell you that you have that this tool is used, that your agency uses this tool. Well, in the ASAM, there's 6 dimensions. From a cultural lens, the first 3, which I have up on the screen, which I thought was really awesome how Kama had put it together. You have, and usually you're looking for problems, yeah? It's always about looking for problems. But here's what I want to throw out. When you're working with healing, right? And you use this tool, it's really good to really look at in Western healing. It's like a web of entanglement. And the focus on Western healing is with the individual, people, and members, right? So it's more about an individualistic approach. And so when viewing this is how, you know, a lot of times people ask me, oh, okay, how do you work with like culture and you got this Western, right? This Western theories and you got culture, right? And then people will talk to me about integrating. Maybe the question is why? Yeah, that's a big why. Why integrating? Okay, so that's something to really go check out and think about and sit down and ponder in that. Why do we keep saying we got to integrate, right? Culture healing, right? Hawaiian culture healing. Okay, this is something if they have, oh, by the way, this is called Western Ma'i, right? When you look at it from a cultural lens, Hawaiian culture lens. And I'm using Hawaiian culture because we are the host culture. Yeah, so Western Ma'i is, okay, so if a haumana come to me and we're talking D1, acute intoxication, so I'm pretty sure everybody in the room knows what that's about, acute intoxication or withdrawal. If the brother comes into my office and he's absolutely in withdrawal, I'm not even going to finish the ASAP. He's going to get medical attention. Western Ma'i get Western medicine. That's just the bottom line, right? Western Ma'i get Western medicine. Brother going to the hospital, right? And then you have D2, which is your biomedical condition. Say brother has a heart attack, right? And he's still smoking ice, right? Well, and he's not taking his medication. Now, we got to ask yourself, is he going to do well in treatment? Or are we going to run into, wait, the big thing is with our PNPs, liability. Is that going to be a liability? Right? So come on now, this is how we think throughout the years that I've been in the field, right? You got to stop and ask yourself, okay, brother has had a heart attack before. He's not taking his medication and he's still smoking ice, right? Oh, brother, we might have to take a look at, oh, Western Ma'i need Western medicine. And then in your D3, which is about emotional, so we're talking mental health conditions, right? That's more of a Western Ma'i. If I, from a cultural lens, go into the NOB, in the natural order of balance, and I start talking to the tree and mahalo that tree and hug that tree, most society will say, look that crazy lady, she talking to the tree, right? That's basically what happens is that, so people become afraid to really stop and mahalo a tree. Go outside in the morning, tell your plant mahalo. My pakalana growing so beautiful. Every morning I mahalo my pakalana. You know, I mean, we get caught up in shame or people looking. We need to like get over that and take it back, right? But if there is someone, let's say there are those that have schizophrenia, right? There is Western medicine, there is Western treatment, right? So we have to be open to that. Although I do culture, I also know the right thing to do for the person because my interest and my intent is to bring healing. I think that's the most important thing, is to bring healing to that person sitting in front of me. So if need be, I'm okay with saying, you know what, you need to go to the hospital. And then there's okay with saying, you know what, I'm calling the ambulance, right? So that's Western ma'i from a cultural lens. Next slide. Right. Oh, okay, here's the fun one. This is still part of the ASAM. Remember now, for those of you that are not aware of the ASAM, there is 6 dimensions. So these are the 6 dimensions you use when you're working with a patient, client, or haumana. Yeah. Now, this part of the ASAM, 4, 5, and 6. This is where the Hawaiian ma'i is. Okay. So remember, I told you about the first part of the dimensions, which is a 1, 2, and 3 is a Western ma'i. So that web of entanglement, again, healing is with individuals, people, or members. For Hawaiian ma'i, what happens with the person is it's a web of entanglement. However, the healing is about the people, the land, and the akuas. Mapopo, that's where the healing is at. The people, the land, and the akuas. Really important to know that when you're working with haumana, because it's not individual, 4, 5, and 6. The person that came to me is dealing with the whole thing all at once. So with Hawaiian cultural there's different types of modalities you can use with Hawaiian culture kind things. You have aina-based stuff, you have ho'oku kaheva, you have mo'olelo. We have many different modalities that actually work all together. Okay, I'm reading something on the side. Well, did we get that? Really important to know. So if I'm working with a haumana, right, and they're gonna come in, already we know that they came to the treatment center. I'm not gonna ask them, oh, you're using drugs. We already know why they're coming, right? Now, I gotta give the plug in. Let me just give the plug right here. I forgot to do it at the top. But I want to acknowledge Hui Ho'ola o Nana Hulu o Hawaii and the team that I've worked with for many years. That's a shout out to Kaipolike, Kila Carter, Lisa Cook, Brian Ogawa, which they're still there at the Hui. What made Hui Ho'ola o Nana Hulu a beautiful cultural program, and why I say it was a cultural program, is because we had aina and we had kupuna. 2 main ingredients I've seen. I worked for Bay Clinic. I use cultural activities, but Bay Clinic is not a cultural program. I have cultural activities I use, but Bay Clinic's not a cultural program. I know the Hui over the years has had different kupunas. Over time, they've passed on. But Auntie Ulu was also a kupuna for that program. That's what made that program so powerful. The other thing I want to talk about while being at that program was that the most sought after group, because many of the treatment programs you have, the haumana or patient has to go to different groups to learn about relapse prevention. They got to learn motivational interviewing kind of stuff that's written in your guys' grants, contracts, or medical kind of dictates, right? How things should be delivered, right, in the program. But the thing about the cultural group, it was the most attended group, and a lot of the clients or your haumana are very attentive. And for years, when you look at research, a lot of it has to do with Native Hawaiians have the highest population of substance abuse. Okay, if that's the case, then we need to have more Hawaiian kind healing. Right? Hikino, we should be doing more Hawaiian healing if the Native Hawaiian population has the highest rate of substance abuse or use, right? Oh, I like the hammer. So I mean, go get room for questions at the end. What I really want to get to is when you have that haumana sitting with you, it's an entanglement of all kinds of stuff going on, right? They're continued using, and they come with all, they disconnected from the family. Most times the user or the one using, some lose their children to the system. They have multiple legal kind things going on. And then their readiness to change is more about their self-identity. So this whole thing in a nutshell right here, 4, 5, 6, this is like a bundle, okay? Kind of like if anybody working on the WIT system, they have all the counselors having to do, the counselor has to put together the assessment, the ASAM, and something else. Anyways, you have to put all of this stuff together and you have to send it in to a system through WITS. It's called a bundle. So you send this bundle in and then they're gonna tell you what place is available for the client to go, what treatment center or whatnot, okay? So with that, I'm just showing you like kind of a correlation here. In 4, 5, 6, this is like a bundle. You're working with it all one time through a cultural lens and working with that haumana. You're addressing everything all at once using different cultural modalities. I mean, you can always email about different my mana'o on cultural modalities, but I'm not going to go into that during this webinar. I just really wanted to bring light to the ASAM because majority of your new CSACs, the CSACs in the field now are required to use this ASAM. At one time, they used it mainly for placement. The ASAM was called PP2, Patient Placement Criteria 2, very Western kind thing. But 4, 5, 6 is mainly the one I wanted to touch on. So with that being said, I brought up about self-identity, really important. Using WITS can be stressful. Okay, so next slide. I'm going to introduce you to Ho'oku'u. This was coined by Auntie Ulu to work with others, individual. Okay, so there is oponopono, which is for the family, yeah? And that's, oponopono is what you use to work with family members, right? For making work right in the family. But if you get one substance abuse user, and if they active or they still using, really hard for you go take them and put them in one Ho'oponopono session. They're not ready. So with using Ho'oku'u is about helping the individual using these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, or 5, because it's interchangeable, what you see on the screen. So when we're talking about this, the big deal about Ho'oku'u is about self-identity. It's basically who you and where you come from. Your place tells a lot about you. You know, most times when you, I'll say, oh, I live in Puna. Depending who or where you're at in your life, you'll respond. I have had people respond to me like this. Oh, they get plenty hippies out there. Or they'll say things like, so you'll have all kind of different feedback from people or their response of the greater Puna area. But Puna is very rich. It is the home of Pele. I live in Lower Puna, and you guys know that Pele came down there. That is her home, Lower Puna. And so there's a lot in Puna when you look at this, right? And this is the kind of things I like to help Haumana view when they're from my area. I can specifically talk about my area and wow, West, really? Yeah, let me give you the good stuff. So, I mean, there's Wild West, a lot of places. But Puna, the beautiful thing about Puna is that the sun rises with us. We have an area in Puna that's called Kumukahi, the first source. And that tells me that I get the sun first. Every day is a new day, right? So it depends where so you'll have people respond in that way about Puna. But Puna has a lot of rich history. So it's about helping that person. If that substance abuse user, right, let's say that they originated from there, most times who they are, right, once they learn who they are using Ho'oku'u, they can start to learn how to reconnect. They've lost their way and they've gotten disconnected from the natural order of balance. And so working with them using Onihanao, it's about helping them to look at what are your signs of your birth, right? And then we look at, and it's about place identity and self-identity. And then when you work with them using Owaikoinoa is not what is your name. No, Owaikoinoa is who's your name. Vai means who, yeah? Who your name, not what your name. We don't want to know what we want to know who you connected to, right? Who's your ohana? Because in your ohana, and it doesn't, I'm just using the Hawaiian culture, right, as the driving force here, but I'm talking about in all cultures, not just only in the Hawaiian culture, but I'm using our culture to be able to bring it home, meaning we have many different cultures here on the island. If we're talking about Hawaiian, Filipino, Portuguese, Chinese. Oh, by the way, I'm Chinese too. So when looking at that, it's like who your name, not what your name, who your name. We don't want to know what you. Okay, in Pehea Kopiko, what that's asking is how's your family? Okay, that helps me to see where you're at using the NOB, how disconnected you are because you grew up. You know, in my objective and in my summary, I talked about there's a place, Ike, within a space of incubation, because everybody was born with, you grew up in a family. There's some people that I've worked with that don't have a family. And the natural order of balance becomes their family. That's one different class, but you can email me. But for those that have ohana and they got into the drug world, what happens is they disconnected from them, even from their children. So when you help them with Pehea Kopiko, right? Who's your family? Who you connected to? They grew up with a set of values that's dormant. Remember, they exchanged the values they grew up with a different value because they changed, they moved into a different lifestyle and are living the substance use life, that lifestyle. And so their value is the substance. Okay, cool. The main thing about ho'oku'u hewa, and a lot of people get tongue twisted with this. Ho'o is an action, yeah. Ku'u is we talking about the release of hewa. Using this, it's about bringing up your own hewa, because you got to use this on yourself first. You got to go learn about you. I had the privilege of doing my stuff with Auntie Ulu. That's how come now, and make this personal. So when I'm saying, okay, you need to bring up your own stuff, expose it, whatever that may be, okay, whatever that may be, expose it, make right with it, flip it, and then it becomes an asset. That's another key word Auntie Ulu would use with me all the time. We would go somewhere, and if there's a poster hanging on the board and it's all in English and it's some learning tool, she'll look at me and she'll go, okay, Lahela, hello, flip it. And I would get scared first because, you know, that's how we do, right? With kupuna, we get scared first. It's like, oh no, what am I going to say? Because I'm thinking, okay, I don't like say the wrong thing. But that has been my greatest learning tool. And that's a skill to be able today, because I'm aware of flip it and take it back. And I'm aware of all of my ancestors because I did extensive mo'oku auhau with Auntie Ulu in order to take a look at who I am and what kind of gifts I come with. Yeah, so that means I had to wake up a lot of my ancestors. It's kind of like I got multiple personalities. I never know which one's going to talk first. But anyways, like that. So like when you wake up your ancestors, okay, these kind of things, that's where I'm leading into na'au. So we talk about na'au, all of them ancestors inside me, like I said, like if I get on an airplane, all of them go with me. They become my safe zone. They tell me, oh no, okay, no, go over there. That kind. So some people, they go to forests and you get that feeling where you don't belong there. Hello, you need to listen to that. That's your ancestors talking to you. That kind now, right? It's that feeling you get inside you. No more words to explain it. You just know that you know that you know. The other thing with kupunas, when you wake them up, right? You activate them. What happens is sometimes they come fast. I know this is not a class, but I just need to let you know when they come to you, right? What happens is like a lot of stuff go on in your head, like your neurons in your brain starts firing up. Well, what happens is you take that kind and you just put them on one shelf because you know they're telling you something, and because we want to be a smart, I'm not going to say that word, but you know, we get a little bit cocky, we ignore it. So you have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Once you start working on yourself using ho'oku'u hewa, you have to be real mindful about when they're talking to you. Some stuff is just meant for you. Okay, that's a little bit deep. Okay, moving on. Namea kupuna. Namea kupuna is about our olis, our protocols, giving thanks to the NOB, that kind of stuff. Because the kupunas did a lot, well, our ancestors, okay, we're talking about these kupunas, right? They feed us all the time. We gotta stop and listen. And listening is a skill, right? We get the hearing and we get listening. Well, listening is a skill. And once you can tune into them kupunas, you'll be amazed at the answers you're going to get, right? So the kupunas, in fact, the ancestors, when you really stop and look at what our ancestors did for us, they did a lot so we can have what we have today. That's really important to remember, is that they did a lot for us so we can have what we have today. I think really important. But I'm just giving you pretty much an overview of ho'oku'u kahewa. And it's about working with others, yeah. The individual that's struggling with substance use. So I think, Illinois, that's about it. And there's one more slide coming up. Right? Am I missing anything else? Oh, okay. This is another thing that I want to share with everybody. Ina ole kako. If not us, then who? Navai. I think what's really important about using the Hawaiian culture, again, in a lot of the stats, it says that the Native Hawaiians have the high rate of substance use. I think it's time that we take it back and we start looking at how do we use Hawaiian healing as a way of well-being. I'm not discounting your medical profession. They're important too. And I'm not integrating the two. I'm working with them, meaning the privilege I have, I believe now, like I said, I give a lot of aloha to Hui Ho'ola o Nanahulu o Hawaii. Oh, by the way, that is coined by Auntie Abby Napiahi, gave the program the name, and it means the group that gives life back to its people. So a lot of kudos to them. But with your medical profession and working at Bay Clinic, what's beautiful about this, and we got an awesome CEO, Kimo Alameda. And so Bay Clinic, you have your doctors, your pediatricians. The beautiful thing about working with substance abuse, because we're building up a program or to service substance abuse, substance users. Working with, I'll give you an example. And I want to give a shout out to her. So Vicky Portis, she is with Bay Clinic and she's with pediatrics. So when she works with local families that live on island, or sometimes she has maybe a grandma with, I don't know, 3 kids or 4 kids, and grandma has to take care of the kids because their parents are out there maybe. Vicky will come and get me and ask me if I can come into the room with her to basically what I'm doing is I'm assessing the family, right? But when I come into it from a different lens, right? I'm coming into it from a culture lens, and basically in Hawaii, it's like, grandma, how come you get all these kids, right? And right there, grandma's gonna start, boom, she's gonna have like about one whole paragraph of something in one short period. And so that's a beautiful thing about working with her, is that she's open to coming to get me, and we both work together. I'm in behavior health, they're in the medical side, right? But it's not about integrating the two, it's about me using cultural approaches, and she comes in it from the Western, and then we talk story. And that's the beautiful part about it, right? And so when working, and then we have another doctor with us, very open to working with me on our MAT program for Bay Clinic. MAT in the field gang is medication assisted treatment. We're talking for those struggling with opioid, but then again, you also have those that are on medicine that is for mental health, right? Those also need assistance. That's MAT as well, medication assisted, right? Therapy or treatment. It's working with those as well. It's just that I come at things from a cultural lens. I'm constantly flipping, and that's really important. I think what I want you to get from this is that when you go places, you go try this out, okay? Really important. Auntie Ulu is telling me this, that you need to do this. Go look, flip it. When you're somewhere or you're at your agency, take some Western format and flip it. Use it in a cultural lens. Can be from Japanese, can be from Filipino, but flip it. View it from a cultural lens. That kind. The other thing that I want you to take from this presentation is take it back. We grew up, or we were taught skills, we were taught values, right? It was gifted to us. Remember now, our ancestors did a lot so we can have what we have today, right? So really important that you take it back. So, and makavalu everything. Don't just settle for, okay, you've seen that. Yeah, you're taking it for what it is. Makavalu, really important. See things from different lenses, and also elevate and expand, really important. When you're talking cultural healing or Hawaiian well-being, that kind. Oh, mahalo gang. I see some stuff. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, I go leave it here. My email is up on the screen. And then also my kako'os, Brian Ogawa and Kamahui Laulani. You can call her Kama. Hers is up on the screen, so you can always email me. Or if you have questions, I'm pretty sure we might have time for me answer some of them. No me card, Kim. But now, Kim, but you can ask me questions. And I also work with adolescents too, but that's what another kind talk story. So any questions that I need to see? I don't really know there.
We haven't had any questions come in yet, so I'll give everyone some time to think of your questions, and you can go ahead and put them in the Q&A section, and we can ask our presenters. I do have kind of a quick question while we're waiting for all of the other questions to come in. I'm curious about the other types of cultural things that, oh, no. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna ask this other question that came in.
Okay.
We speak to administrators who depend on federal funding and federal language in grant writing.
What was the question?
How do we speak to administrators who depend on federal funding and federal language in grant writing?
How do we depend on our federal? So how you come to the table with the funders, or how you come to the table?
Yeah. How do we speak to our administrators? I guess, yeah, kind of how do we kind of make the language sync up when we're seeking using federal language, but we're talking about our cultural approaches? How do we
get them to buy into it? Maybe, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think, yeah, probably on an administrative level.
Great. So how do we get them? We basically we have to like sell ourselves to them for them to get to buy into our practice. Is that what you're?
Yeah, they're primarily wanting, to use Western colonized language in, grant applications and things like that when we're describing things, but where, the concepts don't necessarily align, right?
Right. Okay. So that's really important because, oh, I like that question. Aloha, Jamie.
Sometimes another addition to the same question, sometimes they want us to call Hawaiian practices faith-based practice.
Oh, okay. That's not a story with a faith-based. Okay. So, well, like faith-based, we always have to, from that level, we have to put, if we're talking culture kind stuff, we have to put it under faith-based or religion, yeah? Right? Or are you aware of that, Illinois?
I've heard of, having to do that, especially like within the incarcerated population.
We have to put it under faith-based. So if we're going to do Hawaiian kind things, we have to do it under faith. How I know about this is because if some of you are familiar with Kaiana, He used to do a program that he used to take into Arizona prison. Kayana used to take Kayana Hailey. He used to take, and God bless him, I know he's with us now, but he would take a cultural program. This is like federal funding. He was getting federal monies for this program, which he used to go into the prisons up in Arizona, where our men are incarcerated, and he would work with them using Hawaiian culture. So Kayana and I used to talk about this. And the thing about that is that layout had to be done under some religious type of, but why? Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to list Hawaiian culture kind things under religion? Maybe that's a question to ask and put back onto them, right? Because usually federal kind stuff, they don't interfere when it comes with religion kind stuff. Does that make sense, Lily? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. That's true. So Donna put it up. That's true. Because, right? It has to be categorized under religion. Oh, due to from why, but we have to ask ourselves, why do we have to do that? We tend to sell ourselves out short, right? And I think I noticed there was a question by Jamie, I think was really important. She asked a question about integrate. Why do we keep saying that we have to integrate it into the Western? Remember, now I'm just gonna put this out here, Illinois. Most times, there's programs that want to create culture kind thing, right? Because they can get monies to create because they said they're gonna do some type of cultural thing in their program. But what happens is they take a Western format and sprinkle Hawaiian on it, then call it a cultural program. The thing about that is, it's like selling ourselves out short. Why can't we just come in it straight with Hawaiian kind things, right? And then use Western, our Western intellectual properties to complement the Hawaiian move, right? So that's another way, right? Should integrate be translate instead? Oh, not necessarily, because we're not going to take some Western format and then switching it all to Hawaiian language. Is that what we're saying? That still doesn't make it a cultural program. The cultural, like I said, what I loved about the hui and how we kept it together is that everybody in the agency, basically in the hui, we all were for the culture, right? So when you got everybody who's on board with it, then it's actually you doing culture. You're not doing the Western stuff. Western stuff was a different group. Example, on a Monday, you have to do Western kind of stuff to meet the contracts, right? Wednesday, another Western kind of stuff. And then Fridays is all devoted to culture, right? But the beautiful thing about the hui is the minute you walked into the door at the hui, we were in a hale that had a kitchen. Two things that matter, the kitchen and the living room. Why? Is because we all gather there. If you look at the culture, that's where we gather. That's where great things happen, in the kitchen, in the living room, right? Does that help?
Yeah. There's a bunch of questions coming in now. So
right.
Are you ready
to
question?
Okay. Admin needs to buy into it. That's true. Okay, that's true. The admin does need to buy in it. So that's the beautiful part about that, is that your administration, this is something, but then remember now I said the research shows that the Native Hawaiians have the highest rate of substance abuse. Why are we trying to heal them with a Western, right? Only Western kind of stuff. Basically, is it because of funding, right? Most times it is, right? Okay, go ahead. What did you?
Okay, so what phases?
Amy Miller. Aloha e kolomea nui. Okay, go ahead.
Do you see ho'oponopono being most effective, or is it included in all phases of healing?
What does it mean? Is it included in all phases of healing? This is what I have learned also. Now, mind you, I can use parts of it if I'm using tutupukuis, because different districts do ho'oponopono differently. I only teach on this moku, on Hawaii Island, yeah. Each district on this island, throughout all my research and talking with kupunas, they get different kind of ways they use them in Keokaha, in Puna, in Maku. They get different ways they use ho'oponopono. But if you're using tutupukui style, I can use in a session parts of the process, not in its entirety, to work with somebody. So if I'll give you an example for you CSACs out there and you're looking. So this is how you would write one note. Haumana met with PC, or PC, primary counselor, met with Haumana for kukulu kumuhana. So to identify a problematic area. That's a problem statement. So again, primary counselor met with Haumana, right, the client, for kukulu kumuhana to identify hihia. Hihia is the, right, all the entanglements, all those knots. So when you look at that, I can use parts of ho'oponopono in a session, but not in its entirety. Most times when I work with a haumana that is coming in, they get all kinds of stuff going on. We need to help them first return to the source in order for me even consider having them sit in one ho'oponopono. I'm not going to put that person back into the family for them to go through the same thing all over again, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to work with the brother first, or the sister, and work with them, and then work with maybe the doctors or their primary care physician or their mental health therapist, right? To kind of work through their stuff first before we try to put them back into the family. Yes, there's Auntie Lynette. Can we please bring up Auntie Lynette, Lillinois? Auntie Lynette wanna talk story? What I do, Lillinois?
I just allowed her to talk, but I can also bring her.
Aloha.
Can you, aloha, and then can you put her picture up? If you.
Yes.
Okay, yay. And you can take away my slide if you go, or put Auntie. Okay, where Auntie? Oh, okay, there. Okay, Auntie, Anake, put on your camera. Where you?
Okay. Start.
Wait, where her camera?
Yeah. Okay.
Hui, Auntie.
Aloha.
Aloha, Anake. Aloha. So much aloha to you.
You know, in all that Tutu has passed on, Tutu Pukui, and in talking with others who do ho'oponopono, if it works, it works. But one thing is consistent. You gotta connect to the spiritual power. And that spiritual power goes by many names, not categories. Yeah. So before you can help others be pono, you gotta be pono yourself. And so that means looking at unresolved issues, those things that created disturbance and imbalance in your life, whether it's with people, with organizations, with society values. it does mean by the time you're incarcerated that you have a bucket full of unresolved issues, not ready to be with the family for ho'oponopono. No can. Gotta deal with understanding the ike of oia i'o. Absolute truth and genuineness. Because when you have hewa, in most instances, hard to admit what you do. More easy to point fingers to somebody else or an excuse that justifies why you do what you do. So it's really hard grabbing on to what is meant by oia i'o and aloha. Because aloha really is the key. If you pono, you have aloha. But when you're not pono, you no more aloha. It is being repressed. It's not able to come out. So you have to be specific if you want to untangle that hewa. You gotta be specific, can be general. Yeah. Being general is a way to avoid facing your hewa. So before you can help others by being a participant in ho'oponopono, you gotta be ready to look at what you do and how you hurt others. Not easy. Yeah. And although I think the justice system has tried to incorporate an opportunity of forgiveness, I would be very watchful to see if that request is waha or if it is from yana'au. Big difference. The Hawaiian way of working things through is based on essence, love, oia i'o. It is not just form that comes from here or olelo that comes from here, but is haka. It's hollow. No more the depth of genuineness and sincerity. So that's what I wanted to say, because it supports exactly what Lahela says. Ho'oku'u ka hewa first, before you even attempt to do ho'oponopono with the ohana or be a party of ho'oponopono. You may not be ready. And it's going to take time because you have to face your demons. And you got to be ready to say how the demons in you have caused pain and hurt in the ones you love. If you cannot get to that point, you're still not ready. Uncle Howard Pe'a would say, you no more aloha. You never connect with Keakua yet. Yeah. Yeah. So mahalo and love you.
I love you too, Auntie. Mahalo plenty. And again, folks, I uniki with Auntie Lynette, and that's a privilege to have been able to spend that time under her training. So I mahalo Auntie plenty for coming on, and thank you, Auntie. I love you plenty. And I mahalo you plenty. But you can stay on, Auntie. I think we get some more questions. Anybody else? Ohana needs to be pono. Is there any question that we need to answer? Auntie can stay on. So maybe there's,
yeah.
Go ahead, Lily.
There's a bunch of questions in the chat. One of the next ones that came in was, how can we learn more cultural modalities geared towards youth substance use prevention and treatment?
Oh, are you from Hawaii Island? What moku? What moku?
Maui.
Oh, okay. So let me tell you how it worked for me, because I also work with adolescents. And I had Auntie Ulu, right? So I had cultural kind of things that she would send me on. There was one where youth, so the forest, the NOB, that's a community, right? Think about that. That's a community. I would take the adolescents to the forest by volcano, what's that? Bird Park, help me out, Illinois, right there. And use that to be able to teach youth about community from an NOB. But what happens is everybody, if you're from Maui, you have your kupunas on island there. So I only teach, I host workshops here on Hawaii Island, because I've been trained that I cannot go to any other moku for go teach arakai when I never even help my moku. So what I'm saying is you got practitioners on your moku, and then you got kupunas. If you can locate your kupunas in that district, go ask them questions, go interview them, go find out where your kupuna group is. Like Hawaii Island, we get, get COVID now, so the group's smaller. But on Hawaii Island, we have a kupuna group. Usually there would be like 40 something in one group. You go over there, go to them, go ask them questions. You wouldn't believe how much they want to talk. They want to tell people their stories, their mo'olelo. Find your kupunas in your district. Bring them out. Some of them gonna be like, what do you like? What they like? But that's okay. Just tell them you like learn. Because you get kupunas in Puna, they strictly teach you how to make opena. And then they teach you how to make hala. You gotta get out there and find your kupunas, but get kupuna groups around. Go look them up. Go ask Papa Olo Kai. They might know what kind of kupuna groups get in Maui. They're kind of like a database, yeah, Papa Olo Kai. Or in Maui. So you gotta know your resources, really important. But find your kupunas in your area. Right? Okay, did that help?
Yes, mahalo. Okay, see one of the, yes, we're trying to, be supportive in that way to be able to connect people to resources and things. Okay, one of the other, well, so much in the chat. Okay, one of the other questions that came in was, what is the best advice you can give to be a great substance use counselor?
Know yourself, know who you, where you come from. Know yourself. Use Ho'oku'ukaheva to learn about all you can about yourself. If you get some stuff in there, and Auntie Lynette just would reinforce it. If you get stuff in there that's hewa, okay, pull it up, expose it, make right with it, flip it, and turn it into an asset. Because then you're going to feel the next person. You're going to be able to work with that other person from your na'au. In my sessions, I literally ask the homeowner or the client, when they stay all in their head, I tell them, wait, sometimes we got to breathe, like hanu, right? Stop and breathe. And then I literally ask them, let me speak to your na'au. You know what I mean? See, because you start to connect on a different level with them. but you gotta know you. You gotta know, you get lots of skills you come with, but you gotta know what else is that in you. Because a lot of people, they don't like talk about the hewa. Either shame, but that's okay. Get over the shame, gonna be okay. Get out of people that did the same thing as you or made up a lie or whatever. Get out of people like that. But once we get past that, it's a lot easier to work with others. Yeah. Once we know what is our own hewa or things like that, but know who you, most of all, once you got that, it's things flow in a session. And you see that person for who they are. Like there's that beautiful person within that substance abuse. They caught in the grip, right? They have a hard time getting out. Good question.
Yeah, we had I think we left off at the question about best advice to a substance use counselor.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I think most of all, it is about knowing yourself. I think to truly be an effective counselor, and then what is your intentions with healing, yeah? Is it about Hawaiian well-being, right? And if your intentions is good, everything just flows. I have awesome rapport with all my clients. I don't think I have one that, yeah, no, I truly do. And it's about knowing self. Like I said, I just have the privilege of having like great kupunas in my life. Yeah. Auntie Lynette, Auntie Ulu. So, I mean, I would think I would run out of ink, not at writing. But it's like, that was a privilege. I also had the privilege of her when I was teaching. I teach Introduction to Ho'oponopono at the college. But when I first taught it back in 2011, Auntie Ulu had sat in my class every night. She came to my class and she sat in my class every night. At the back of the class, that was the most scariest time for me because I'm doing her stuff. And when you get on kupuna sitting in the back of your classroom and you're the teacher, that's scary. But it was also a very learning time for me. I learned how to get out of myself. I learned how to not be shamed. I learned how to, it's okay to like be scared. She helped along the way. I also earned my bubble that night, one night in class. Let me see. But I think that was a big honor and privilege for me to have had her. And she would drive from Waimea. Oh, wait, one of the grandkids would have to drive her. So I had Kaya who did my classes. So her grandkids would have to drive her to come to my class and be there. And I was teaching it one time a week, 2 hours and 45 minutes. So, and she would be there every single day, time that I taught. So for that, I'm truly grateful. For that was a privilege. Yeah. So I mahalo that. Was there anything else? And listen, when Kupuna is talking, listen. Listen. And I have not changed anything of Auntie's, what I presented in the slides that Kama did. It is the same way she gave it to me. So NOB, the natural order of balance, I have not changed anything in it. And also Hoku Kaheba, I've not changed any of the layout. How I've learned it, how it was given to me, it's the same way. Right? I don't add, subtract, or change it out. It's the way she designed it, and I just keep it that way. Any other question?
I think that was it. If you have, if anyone has any further questions, you can send them to me. You can send to Auntie and Kama and Uncle Brian. And then also has Auntie's. I can share the Auntie. Can we share the slides with the?
Yeah. Hikino.
Okay. So I'll send out that to everyone and Auntie's contact, and in case anyone has any follow-up questions. You also have the evaluation and attendance verification in the chat. So if you could take a moment to fill that out, both so we can continue to build on these learning opportunities and continue to grow, because we have such incredible work being done in our community. We want to uplift that and be able to learn from everyone. I want to send a huge mahalo to Auntie Lahela and both of her kako'o, Uncle Brian and Kama. Mahalo nui to all of you guys for sharing this space with us, for sharing your ike with us, and sharing all of this kupuna wisdom and how we can, utilize this in our practice. Mahalo, this has been so amazing.
Mahalo plenty to you, Illinois. Auntie Lynette, my love always. Love you, Auntie Lynette. Kama and Uncle Brian, big mahalos to you guys too. Yeah? Are we pau?
Yes, mahalo nui again to everyone for joining
nui.
today.
Okay, hui ho.